Check, check. Gabe, can you hear me? Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Check.
I don't know it's called, but it won't come on till he turns it on. So just let us know if it's not. What's here? Now ready, Cal. Billy thinks I'm a nerd. Where's Valerie?
Here. She thinks we're all nerds, good.
All right, James County Commissioner Court come to order. It's excuse me, it's not Tuesday.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, October 25th, 2022. We did October 26th, 2022. Yeah, one day behind, and look what happens.
That's right.
So if you didn't know it, we'd, because the wall was coming in yesterday, the wall that heals, which we're gonna get up there on court. Reason we rescheduled court for today. And if you all rise. Wayne, you want to lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you all for, thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here together in your name and do business. For your purpose, allow us to be good stewards of your message, O Lord. And please allow us to continue to be honored by your grace and be humbled as we move forward for the best interest of this county and the citizens. Thank you, in your son's name. Amen.
I didn't catch you off guard. Let's go with our Bobby Hollywood. Go on and send the pledge, please. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, so comments, Ms. Hawthorne, James County Clerk. What'd you do, hide my timer so I couldn't time you?
Good morning.
I tell you what, while you're there, let's just go to the item under economic development and tourism. 5.2, discuss consider update regarding the wall that heals Chambers County. So we'll go to that item and discuss it as you make your sense comment. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning to the citizens of Chambers County as well. My name is Heather Hawthorne. I am your county clerk. This morning we have with us Loretta Emmons, who is the co-chair of the Wall That Heals, along with myself. This project started about a year ago, and we've done a lot of planning. It's been about 400 volunteers involved with this project. The Wall That Heals is a moving wall. It will be in our county until Sunday at 2:00. It's a replica of the Vietnam Wall, and it is set up at White's Park. Today, that's what we have volunteers out there. It's going up as we speak. Yesterday, we had a wonderful escort of the truck that brought it to us. There's only 2 places that it'll be in Texas this year, and Chambers County is one of them, along with San Antonio. So we're very honored and we're very grateful for the court for supporting this project. I have a very personal motivation for being involved in this. My father did 3 tours of Vietnam. And so obviously he has a lot of friends on that wall. My mother's got a lot of friends on that wall. And so it's just been a sheer pleasure to be involved with this project. Loretta.
Thank you. Yes, thank you all for everything that y'all have done to help make this project happen. From the Parks Department, who did an unbelievable job at White's Park, to economic development. You and Tommy have been instrumental in making all of this happen. And we just thank you so much. Yesterday, this work went off without a hitch. It was flawless, perfect, beautiful weather. And then for better than this, Kathy is unbelievably impressed with all of our efforts so far. We're way ahead of schedule. It started early this morning. She's like, it's not even 9 o'clock when the framework got. So it's all coming together. It will be ready this afternoon for people to start coming. But we officially open tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock tomorrow, it's open 24/7 until Sunday at 2. Now Saturday, we have a pinning ceremony for all the Vietnam veterans in the region. We have people coming from out of state for this ceremony. We're expecting a very large crowd. We've got more than 80 veterans already registered. They were coming with their families. Some are bringing as many as 35 people that receive their pins. So it's going to be a big day on Saturday. So get out there, see the wall, sign up for a tour. There's still plenty of tour slots available. You can get a personal tour and learn all about how it was designed, built, and all the men who served in our, whose names are on the wall. So please come visit and go back.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Loretta deserves a great,
Yeah, congratulations on yesterday. I mean, law enforcement and the riders and, the parks department and in a minute again. But, yeah, I understand the guy that pulled the trailer, donated his time, his fuel, his truck to do that. So I know we're taking a collection to help him out. So I don't know who's receiving those funds, but CMS, or you can bring it in my office, whatever, just, you want to make a donation to help him out with the expenses with that. Go ahead, Sam.
And I'd like to just add one more thing, that it is totally free to the public. It's open 24/7. Loretta's had the opportunity to go out of state and see it. It's absolutely breathtaking at night. So don't feel like it doesn't close down. So
It's actually.
yeah.
I think it's dark all around. All the other lights are going to be extinguished, and that will be the only light in the area. So it's a sight to see at night. So I'm
Twice.
Well, great job.
every day at 6:30. Right before daylight.
Feel free to,
I mean, dark.
not tonight.
Not tonight.
So I just wanted to share an anecdote, just so that everybody can understand how impactful this is for everybody. Loretta and I were standing near the door yesterday visiting, and thanking the, motorcycle riders as they came in, many of whom are veterans themselves, some of whom were Vietnam veterans as well. And like I said, Loretta and I were standing there, and walked in, Loretta made sure that he got his commemorative patch. And I just haphazardly said, thank you so much for participating today. And he stopped me, walked behind us and stopped me, and he said, no, thank you. And he said, this is and I'm gonna tear up, and Loretta and I both cried yesterday when he said it. He said, this is a far cry from when I was spit on and cussed at when I returned from war in Vietnam. And this is the first time that I've ever felt recognized and appreciated. And I'm getting goosebumps now, because that just goes to show what an impact this wall makes to veterans, to their families. And all I could do was say thank you. And I'm sorry that it's taken so long for us to be able to provide this to you, but we appreciate everything you've done. So it really is impactful. Like I said, it hadn't even been on the ground good, and I was already crying, although I'm known for around here.
Really? Yeah. Good work there.
You know? It was really impactful. But these ladies and all of their team have done a stellar job. So I'm gonna be the judge right now. Let's give them a round of applause for their work. They've done it.
Thank you. Yeah, and Kathy, the lady that runs it, she said that she mentioned that yesterday, that you didn't get the recognition when you came back, so we're recognizing you now. I'm about to tear up.
Yeah, just wait till Saturday.
Yeah.
Better bring your tissue.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you in a
Thanks,
few
Laura.
minutes. I'm going to finish up and I'll be out there.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my second update.
No action on 5.2.
No action, just
All
an
right, go ahead.
update. So my second hat that I'm wearing this week is I am your chief elections officer for Chambers County. And so we have early voting going on as well. We have 5 locations. So far, we've had 2,224 voters, which is 6% of registered voters in 2 days. That is wonderful. So again, encourage everyone to get out to vote. This week is 8 to 5 in these locations. Next week is 7 to 7. And then election day will actually be on the next commissioner's court day, November the 8th. And of course, the polls will be open from 7 to 7. A quick reminder that Chambers County is a countywide voting location. So you can vote anywhere for early voting and you can vote anywhere of our polling locations on election day. Any questions? Mr. Gore.
Well, comment question altogether, if I can. It's easy. We had the mock deal. Y'all done a fabulous job. Went in the wing yesterday and voted. It's simple. It's the Texas two-step process. It's very simple. Encourage everyone to come out and vote. Also encourage everyone to vote all the way down to the vote from top to bottom. Don't just hit a few of them. I mean, it's very important. We have a lot of very important judges on that list that we need to get into office or keep in the office. So encourage everyone to vote all the way down the district, please.
So I will say one thing, and I was texting with my fellow Southeast Texas judges last night in Hardin County. Wayne McDaniel said, yeah, we voted 1538 the first 2 days. And about 5 minutes later, you sent me that text, we voted 3,350. I sent it out to him and of course had to brag about what we had done. So congratulations, that's great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Awesome.
All right, and now I'm going to go back and work on the wall.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, I got Louise Sullivan, Tammy Bilak, and Craig Welling. And y'all here on the tax abatements, you want to wait till we get to those items? Okay. All right, I'm gonna jump down. I still got 2 coaches on the front row and they're ready to get out here and go coach something, I think. All right, 5.1, let's unrecognized development tourism, discuss and consider presentation and request from Dick Olin to be the ring sponsor for the 2023 Bayou Bowl Texas East-West All-Star Game. Sam, you out there? Coach Olin came to me a couple months ago, I guess, and I asked if we'd like to have the opportunity to help out and have how long has the Bayou Bowl been going on?
Since 2003.
If we'd like an opportunity to host, and of course, we're very interested. Had a meeting and I sent Sam because I couldn't be there,
And then I didn't go,
and then she didn't go, so.
but
anyway,
Commissioner Tice went because he behaves.
Tice went. So, you want to take this? Go ahead, Sam.
So basically, Mr. Olin sent us an email asking if Commissioners Court would be interested in sponsoring the rings for this particular football game. It's pretty cut and dry. The letter that he submitted is in your packet. So that's all we're asking. I think this is a great economic development opportunity. I know they've committed to stay locally in hotels, which will provide hot fund revenue to the county. So I wholeheartedly support that. But it's always a great thing when we can get people in to see how beautiful our county is and all the wonderful things we have to offer.
So, Coach, or Coach, anyone of y'all like to?
You want to talk a little bit about it?
To the mic.
Before we
It's on page 48.
Yeah.
We really didn't specify an amount, but the rings we found out now is $5,000. And I have a sample if you would like to see what the ring is like, if you'd like to pass this around.
Sure, you can come through here.
I can come through.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what the ring looks like. If anyone would like to see it, you can see what it is. All the kids, all the players, all the trainers get a ring like that. And in exchange for your sponsorship, this is a poster that we distribute everywhere. It has east-west on it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's
And there, at the bottom, you put your insignia, your logo, whatever, and this will be distributed Also, excuse me. Also, then here's the program. Now I know that Tommy and I know Mark got one of these when we met. But this is the program, it's a first class program. You'd have a full page ad. And you can, whoever doesn't have one can have one. I think, Judge, so yeah, I gave you one, did I not?
He did.
I got one. Oh, thank you. This you can look at and see.
And for top notch.
And the thing that you would also get, because the game is televised, is that you either get 30 seconds. Or the other thing that I would recommend is that what it used to be done is the Valport representative. Or whoever would sponsor the rings would come down and in the second quarter, they would present a player, a ring. Live and on table, and then they would do it again in the third quarter. So an East player would get his ring in the second quarter. And then a West player would get his ring in the third quarter. And this year we've got Kennedy Smith is gonna be the sideline reporter. Her mom is Patty Smith, who's in charge of the Houston Harris County Sports Authority. Her husband is also Dave Smith, who was a coach. And she started this with us when we were on Fox, and she was a sideline reporter. And so her daughter Kennedy, who just graduated from A&M, we have A&M people. I knew that. We have to have one of those, right? There you go. My daughter, my son-in-law. So anyway, yeah, they're there and they would be the sideline people. So you would have to tell me what you want, but you have time. If you would like a 30-second spot on TV, you could do that as well. The only thing that has to happen there, the only requirement is that you provide your 30 seconds. You provide the ad that you want, and then it will be run. Does anyone have any questions?
So, and for the record, but Dick, I guess Dick Ellen, Coach Ellen was,
You can have that. You can keep that.
Lee High School coach for several years. And now you're the executive director, what's your title?
Yeah, basically, that's what it is. We began in 2003 and what it amounted to, DJ's here, Mike Shields and Patty McGuire, obviously, deliberate the game of these. And the thing that Mr. McGuire did not want is that he did not want the game to become a Baytown game. And so it stayed that way until 2013. And then the Greater Houston Football Coaches Association, we started managing the team basically. And so what we do now is we go from east to west. Last year we were at Rosenberg, and this year we thought, Mount Bellevue, I know Coach Price is here from Mount Bellevue, and Barbers Hill. When you tell people you're in Mount Bellevue or Barbers Hill, they go, where is that? And so we think that this would help with identities. Now, I do have one difficulty in designating hotels. That's somewhat hard because we're trying to stay in a general area, but we need quite a few rooms. And I guess it's a good thing in a way is that some of these rooms are being leased by the week, by the month, and so on, because of the construction that's going on. So we understand that. We're doing our best.
Well, if you do the best you can. But
We appreciate that.
We will have, we won't mention that here, but I'll talk to you about that. The Bob Tickers, so.
Oh, good. So this started out as a Louisiana, Texas game.
Yes.
And it went to the east,
Yep.
west,
Yep.
Texas.
And the reason that we have rings is again because of Mr. McGuire. Mr. McGuire, I don't know if anybody knows this, he was an All-American that came in 48, 50, something like that. And he played in the Texas High School Association All-Star game, and he got a ring. And he said he has a ring today. And so he said, I want something for these kids that they will keep forever. So the ring came about. And Valper was gracious enough to do it. And the only reason we hesitated on price was we didn't know what Valper representative we would deal with. So we now have a new Valper person that we're contacting. So we're all set. Did anybody have any questions about the game? The money goes to scholarship for athletes in the Greater Houston area. And all of it goes all the way down to the Beaumont area. And we can bring kids in, and coaches nominate, and there's a selection committee. The coaches this year on the East team, it's Spiro Amarentos, who's the head coach of William Park, and then Chris Absack, who's the head coach of Barbers Hill. And then on the West, it's going to be Rick Lefevers, who's at River Ridge, River Point, and then also Greg Rogers. Those are the coaches that will be involved. And they'll have 5 assistants, and they'll have training for each students.
Coach Olin, what division are these students from that participate?
They're from all divisions. It's totally up to the coach. That's a good question. There's a lot of coaches that do not nominate, and that's their fault. And, you know, when parents or principals call, how come you didn't select my son? How come you didn't select our player? Simple, you weren't nominated. And so if you're not nominated, you can't select. And it's difficult because like last year, we'd take 6 or 7 linemen. We had 17 offensive linemen nominated. So you're eliminating a lot of good kids. And the other thing that we have to consider also is that some of these kids will get scholarships late. And so when they get scholarships, some of them have to play in June, so consequently they can't play. So we do select a team, we do have alternates, so that when something like that does occur, we just call quickly and say, hey, will you be interested in playing? And the kids all get. They get shirts, they get shorts, they get workout gear. We used to give them their jerseys, but because the jerseys, if anybody has seen the jerseys today, they are skin tight. And so they're not gonna wear those around like they used to wear. So we don't give them the jerseys anymore. And that's just basically what we do, but it's a tremendous thing. It's been going on. We've raised $174,000 since we've taken over in 2014 for scholarships. And before the Bayou Bowl, the GHFCA would give 2 $500 scholarships. Since the Bayou Bowl, anybody that applies gets a scholarship. It's that simple. Anybody have any?
You should have taken on 17 linemen and made the whole team out of it.
We could.
I know.
They done something.
So what's the game count between East and West? Do you know?
It's well, there for a while. The West kind of dominated a little bit. And now the East is 1-3.
Okay.
I think we're 3 and 4 right now, but we definitely keep track. Now, we were ahead of Louisiana. We did.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, very good.
That matters.
Pardon me?
That matters.
Very much so.
Okay, so what you're requesting is $5,000 ring sponsorship
Yes,
for
sir.
the 2023 Bayou Bowl.
Yes.
Entertained a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Gore. This will come out of hotel and motel tax promotion in the county. Any other questions, comments? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Coach, Price, good to see you.
And I'll be in touch and you can tell me your ads and so on.
Yeah, go through Sam, she put that together.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you because I'll do the design work for the ads.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and you've got my contact information. So I'll shoot you an email.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Take care.
Take care, thanks.
See you, Coach.
See you, Don.
DJ, see ya.
All right, let's go back to the top. 1.1, discuss and consider delinquent tax collection report submitted by Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mons. Darla couldn't be here, but I told Latia that we'd rather see her anyway.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
So good morning, Latia.
Good morning. And Mike does apologize. He had a conflict, had to be out of town today. So lucky me. Thank you all for the chance to come and update you with what we've been doing to collect your delinquent taxes since the last time we were here, which was in April of this year. I'll start off with letting you know we've got a big tax sale planned for next Tuesday. We've got, it started off with a list of 61 items for the sheriff's sale. 2 have already been pulled for payment. And then right after that, we are offering at a public tax resale 15 items. The public resale are those items that didn't sell the first time at the sheriff's sale at a previous sale. So we offer them again. We've already gotten some interest, a lot of phone calls, getting information about that. We'll go ahead and start with the report. On the first page, I'll point you to the top left-hand corner, the total tax base, $1.1 million. That's your total outstanding delinquent dollars for all years at this point. This graph looks at a breakdown of the status of those accounts. They're relatively consistent, with the exception the bankruptcy went up a little bit, a few more accounts in bankruptcy, but we've got a bankruptcy group, board certified bankruptcy attorney as well. We file claims when necessary and pursue those even into bankruptcy court to get you your delinquent dollars back. The interest amount, hoping next week some of those properties will sell and we can get those back on the tax roll. And then the largest section is the action pending, which is not surprising for this time of year. It's right at approximately 296,000 of your overall delinquent dollars. That's because a new delinquent tax year was just assigned to us in July. That being the 2021 tax year. All right, the next page, actually the next 2 pages, I'll very brief. It's the same analysis of that total tax base by dollar amount and by age. And that helps us make sure we are working all of your accounts top to bottom, bottom to top, and making sure we are chasing down every dollar that we can to collect you your money. The next couple of slides show the collections per year. We track this year to year. Of course, we only go back a couple years for brevity, but it starts with 2016. Now, the way the tax calendar works is your bills go out in October. They're due upon receipt, but if they're not paid by February 1 of the next year, they go delinquent. Penalty and interest start to accrue at a statutory rate. Then the tax office tries to collect as much as they can. Whatever's remaining delinquent July 1 of the following year is what gets assigned to us. So we're looking at we start with the 2016 year, which was assigned to us July 1 of 2017. And that initial outstanding base that was remaining delinquent is 789,281. And you can see over 5.5, maybe 5.2 years, we've collected 95.32%. 752,320 of that initial outstanding amount. So that's sort of how to look at these next pages of the charts. I'll let you go through those at your leisure. You can see we continue to work each year. I want to stop at the most recent year, the 2021 percentage of collections. That is the year that was just assigned to us in July of this year. Now we look at this and we see it's only 14.79%, which is unusual for our efforts, but there's a story behind that, and I'd like to tell you that. So we'd normally be higher at this point in the year. What this graph doesn't tell you is that since July 1, the appraisal district has supplemented on, they've added on several accounts for various reasons, corrections, late additions, things like that. So they've added into that bucket of tax dollars that are due an additional 232,000 more than where we started in July. So if you look at those buckets and sort of subtract where we would have been holding steady, our percentage would be about 10 points higher at this point, which is more consistent. But I want to bring that to your attention because I don't want you to walk away thinking we're not working. We're not working the role. It's that the bucket got added to, but we certainly continue to collect as much as we can. Do you all have any questions about the delinquent tax portion?
I got one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick question. You just said the appraisal district added it on. Does this information come from the appraisal district or the tax?
So the appraisal district adds the accounts to the appraisal district roll, and they send supplements to the tax office. The tax office loads them on the system and then sends the taxpayer a bill. They have a period of time to pay without penalty and interest, and they're told that. And then if they don't pay within that period, then penalty and interest starts to accrue.
So they added on more accounts
Correct.
that weren't on the roll, or?
They either added them on or changed the values. Mhm. Right.
Give me that.
Yes,
Commissioner.
on your chart here,
Mhm.
I get all of it, but there's a couple on here I think people may need a little. It says in deferral,
Yes, sir.
62,000, in trust. Can you clarify what those two mean, the definitions of that?
Yes, sir. Deferral is an exemption that the appraisal district puts on an account for people who are over age 65 or have a disability, who occupy their homestead, their primary residence. They've got a homestead exemption on. It doesn't stop taxes from accruing. Your taxes still come due every year. The interest is held at 5% and there's no penalty. So you continue to accrue those, but not at the same statutory rate as the normal account would go delinquent. It also stops us from filing a suit if we haven't filed one, or from selling the property if it's already in the litigation process. Now, it continues on until the deferral is removed. Either the person moves or passes away, or that's no longer their homestead. Then they've got period of 180 days to sort of catch up before the switch gets turned back on for the normal penalty and interest. We do, when we talk with taxpayers over the phone and we think they might be eligible, we suggest to them, contact the appraisal district, see if you might be eligible for this. It might, help you in your situation. The in trust category is properties that were offered for sale at a sheriff's sale already. No one bid on them. So they got struck off to the county or to the taxing entity that requested the order of sale. So they are for the use and benefit of all the taxing entities that were in the judgment, but they're not generating revenue right now. They're sort of in a holding pattern. Their taxes are still due on that account. So we market those. We have the public tax resale, similar to what we're going to have next week. We also have email blasts that go out to over 15,000 subscribers, letting them know, take a look at our list, see if you might be interested. We, from time to time, come with private tax resale bids. People want to buy that. It's called private, but it's very public. We come and we present the bid to you so everyone knows it's just a single bid on a property.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion to accept the report.
So move.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Hamlin, second by Commissioner Combs. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ophelia.
All righty. Thank you all for
Thank
your
you.
business.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And please let me know if we can do anything better for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Let's go down to the library and historical 16.1. It's got to consider purchase of aluminum replica cannon at Fort Anahuac Park from Steen Cannon. Ordinance works in the amount of 36,722. Good morning, ladies.
Hello. Yes, good morning.
Is that on?
Hello, can you hear me? Valerie's here with me, but my name is Cheryl Shaw. I'm the chairman of the Chambers County Historical Commission, and I'm excited to be here, sort of, because it means we have arrived at the final phase of our project at Fort Anahuac Park, entitled First Stand at Anahuac. As you know, we asked for and were generously granted hot funds by this court in the spring of 2018 to create a project that would attract historical tourism to Anahuac, focused on the Anahuac's role in the Texas Revolution. That project has been a big success. We've had reenactors from Baytown, the Woodlands, Waco, and San Antonio all converge at the park with their families, and they draw a crowd in the spring, performing, they would hate that word, but the reenactments. Lots of education goes on. I drive through the park, especially near sunset, quite often with my camera. And it's always gratifying to see families reading the signs, walking around and taking pictures. The most interesting tourist I met there recently was a couple from Japan who had driven here from Houston. They were so excited to read about the Alamo, they asked me to take their picture with all the wayside signs and the monument. So we also had photos of the project published in the Alamo Society's magazine entitled Alamo Dispatch, which is distributed to a very wide audience of history preservationists. One Alamo enthusiast, Edith Politz, an author and scholar on William B. Travis, lives in Florida and is a lawyer for the Florida legislature. She drove to Anahuac last year with a friend after flying to San Antonio. She came here to photograph the monument and to say that she had walked on the ground where Travis once stood. We also recently featured the project on a promotional brochure entitled Anahuac, Small Town, Big History, Great Outdoors, and we sent a few copies of that to the Texas Almanac at their request. As our project in the park draws to a conclusion, I will share with you a short synopsis of the timeline. We were awarded the funds in the spring of 2018. That year, we consulted with the state archaeologist, chose the exact site for the monument, commissioned a noted historian and artist for the wayside paintings. Then, with George Barrera's help, we hired the sculptor. While they were creating the art and statues, we contracted a stonemason, who was also an architect, to design and build the limestone base that supported the figures. The state-mandated archaeological dig started in the fall of 2019, and by November or December of that year, the state gave us clearance to proceed. In 2020, there were several delays due to the COVID and the weather, but the limestone and concrete proceeded throughout the year to be installed. In 2021, we awarded a supply chain problem by replacing our first choice with brick with one that was already in stock in Houston. Our artist in New York was finishing each of the 4 commissioned pieces at the rate of about 1 painting every 4 months and shipping them to us. As we received them, we designed the wayside signs and wrote the text for the signs. The sculpture was completed and put in storage. The artwork, signs, statues, and brickwork were all in place by March 2021. The wayside signs were then installed in coordination with Kirk Sherman's crew. And Kirk also assisted with when the crane lifted the statues onto the base at the first part of April. The limestone was engraved in the middle of April, and towards the end of April, we had the unveiling and the dedication. This was all on time and on budget in spite of the COVID and supply chain issues. Now we're ready to purchase the final piece, which is the non-firing cannon to symbolize the military fort that once stood at that site. The cannon was included in the original project plan agreed upon in court in 2018. We selected Steen Cannon, a premier company featured often in artillery magazines, whose creations stand outside on the East Coast at American Revolutionary sites. Their cannon carriages are made from aluminum and last for decades. They have a cannon pattern appropriate for our 1830 needs. It has 58-inch wheel diameter on the field carriage. The entire length is about 11 foot and it weighs about 1,600 pounds. Historical records show that Fort Anahuac had 2 of these 6-pound cannons, but exactly what it looks like, we don't know. Whether it was left over from Spain or purchased from Britain or France, we don't know that. All we know is that this one would be historically accurate because of the style. It takes about 4 to 6 months to manufacture and deliver. There would be the wood, the part of the cannon that would be ordinarily be made out of wood is stained to look like wood. And it would be placed on the brick pad that is already there on the bluff with the water in the background. We feel that this will be another photographic opportunity for visitors to Anahuac. You can get one made out of wood, but none of us believe that wood would be a very good choice for, because China produces half of the world's aluminum, and mining aluminum is evidently very fuel intensive. Energy costs affect the price of aluminum products such as cars and this cannon. The cost of the cannon is $36,722, and the aluminum prices are projected to continue to rise. We have $19,865.47 left from the hot funds you previously granted us, plus $10,000 donated to us by AMDD a few years ago for this project. Balance we will pull from our 084 account that rolls over year to year. So we're not asking for any more money, just permission to spend what we already have. In conclusion, the Chambers County Historical Commission requests permission to use the money we already have and purchase the non-firing cannon mounted on an aluminum field carriage from Steen Artillery, as described and priced on our invoice we shared with the court. We thank you for your continued support in recognizing and protecting our historical heritage. Thank you very much.
That's gonna look really good.
Yep.
Valerie? Anything?
I had Cheryl come. I know she could answer any questions you had, so support what they're doing.
Questions?
My only question, a little confused. I'm just looking at the budget line item and what you just said. You've already got the 19,000. You got 10,000 that's coming from donating, but this is showing another $16,000 in the budget. So
The 16 includes the 10.
So
There.
the 19 is from the hot funding and then
Right.
the other 16 is coming out of their historical commission, which includes the 10. and
okay,
everything else.
so all right.
All right, that motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Tice. Those in favor?
All right.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, ladies. Look forward to it. When are you gonna get it delivered?
As soon as we tell them, we can start.
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can't wait to hear it fire.
All right, let's go down to BJ. 5.4, BJ, you ready? Discuss, consider Target Downstream LLC Track 9, Chapter 31 proposal. Good morning, BJ.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. First item, this is a proposal that was presented and approved by the court as part of a suite of proposals that presented to the court back in August of 2018.
Targa moved forward with construction and completion of fractionators 7 and 8. Fractionator number 9, the project was postponed due to COVID. Their intent is to revive that project and move forward with that project, starting construction in 2023. Essentially today, the intent is to refresh the court's memory and gain sanctions so as to move forward and allowance of negotiation of the agreements for fractionator number 9, consistent with the previous agreements for 7 and 8. They would include an abatement over a 10-year period, as well as the contributions to offset costs of infrastructure and contributions for the community impact program contribution. So the ask today is simply for the court to give approval to move forward with negotiations to enter into agreement for fractionator number 9.
BJ, is everything exactly the same as it was before?
Exactly the same. It's $1 million contribution for offset for infrastructure. And
That
then
comes in two,
two tranches, $500,000, probably 2023 and then 2024.
and that's what we'd earmark for our road fund.
We did.
I'll move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Questions?
Yeah, I got one more question. Commissioner Hammond, did we ever get the road situation straightened out?
We have not, talked to Nathan this week. He hadn't really done too much with that, so, yeah, he said he'd have something for me next week to clear that up, so.
Are you referencing the Cedar Hill project?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and again, that dates back to the postponement as well. The intent back 2 years ago, however, when it was
Right.
postponed to include that as part of this project. And so integrated solutions, well, that's Nathan Watkins is working at, and so we're going to re-engage to get the specifics so that that can be part of this agreement as well.
Right. Yeah, he had talked to Bobby Hall, I think last week. Bobby's out this week for, I think there's a conference, so
Right. Yeah.
waiting to hear back from them. So, but anyway, let's move forward. I don't see that being a issue with any of this.
All right, and motion second, those in favor?
All right.
Opposed, motion carries. 5.5, discuss and consider Coneflower Storage Project LLC tax abatement application. I know we have a couple of citizens' comments. You folks want to make comment now? You ready for questions?
Yes, allow me to introduce the project.
Go ahead.
And then go from there. Coneflower Storage Project LLC is considering establishing a power storage or energy storage facility on Hatcherville Road. It's what's being contemplated is a 170 megawatt battery energy storage facility that would tie into the ERCOT market for some time. We've got Craig Weiland, who's the development manager with Q-Cells or Coneflower Storage Project LLC to comment on the project, and then Tammy Bialik, who is with Altus Group, who is the providing the financial guidance, if you will, with respect to tax abatement and then financial modeling for the project.
Thank you, sir. You couldn't find anybody in Tyler?
Well, thank you for your time today. I'm Craig Weiland. I work with Q-Cells. I'm a development manager for the firm. I help manage the energy storage and solar projects that we develop in Texas. The Coneflower project is a unique project. We think it has a couple of very interesting attributes to it. First off, I think maybe it would help just to give you a brief overview of what it does. It's a 170 megawatt project designed with a 2-hour duration. So that's enough electricity power to power tens of thousands of homes for about 2 hours. The big positive attribute to the project in our eyes is that it is grid stabilizing. So it has the ability to charge up energy when electrical demand is at its low point during the day and discharge it during the high point. So it helps basically manage the different levels of demand that you might have in Texas and prevent blackouts. We also would point out that the project will employ roughly 50 people, temporary jobs during construction, and will provide tax revenues to the county over the 30-year lifespan of the project. I'd be happy to introduce Tammy Bialik, who is our subject matter expert we've consulted with Altus Group, who has prepared a lot of the tax abatement figures for our work.
Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. So yes, I am Tammy Violet. I'm from Altus Group. We're a state and local tax advisory firm. We've been engaged by Q-Cells to assist them with their financial models for their US portfolio that's under consideration. So as Craig mentioned, this project is rather large. It's about $136 million of capital investment into the county. And we're here today to see if you guys consider and support our tax application, abatement application, because as you know, with such a large investment, their largest operating expenses will be property taxes, especially in the first few years of operations. So open it up to you guys. I know you guys, we provided the application along with some slides for your kind of show you guys what this project looks like and answer any of your questions that you may have to.
Questions?
How many permanent jobs? I see the temporary, I missed the other. Probably very few. It's just a battery backup.
Yeah, there's no permanent jobs, but there are temporary jobs. And there will be temporary jobs once it's under, like, actually in operation, so that they'll come into town and have to fix and do some maintenance, but you don't need anybody there full time.
I have a question on exactly the ask. You're not asking for, is this the 5-year? Is that what the ask is?
Yeah, it's a, we've
The
looked at,
5-year?
no, it's what's being considered proposed is a 10-year tax abatement, given the nature of the project. And the ask would be consideration to front load the abatement, using the 5-year schedule that had been used by the county for some time, for the first 5 years, and the second 5 years at 50%. So the target would be a 65% tax abatement, particularly for the first 4 years or first 3 years to allow them to stabilize, if you will. The project's going to be built, they're going to have to generate revenue, and that's the ask as it stands right now. We were not ready to make any recommendations today. The intent is to present the project, answer any questions, and then come back with recommendations as to different models that would be appealing both to the county and to the prospect.
So today we're accepting the
Accept the
application.
application if that's it, okay, and then come back on the next court with 2 proposals to take a look at how to balance that.
Yeah.
Again, the preference is that the ask, if you will, is to have that allowance in the first 3 to 5 years to provide stabilization for the project. Just as a matter of note, there's a complementary project, I think, and I don't want to speak out of turn, that we've been working with Altus Group to characterize potential incentives as well for these energy or these battery projects, which are very important and complementary to the grid, but also complementary to what is being contemplated by the NRG project, for power stability and like. That project's name is Project Daffodil, and we've provided some, and have yet to present this for consideration by the court. But as it stands right now, it's Coneflower would be the first project, Daffodil would be the secondary project, but they're very similar. The other site that's being under consideration is the Cedarport Industrial Park. So it's a combination thing, but this would be the first part. And we come back at the next court with recommendations.
So they're putting them close to industry for a purpose?
Yes, and I'm sure Craig can speak to the operational philosophy and these
Stabilize that.
right. As a contingency.
So how many houses did you say would, somebody said?
I would categorize it as tens of thousands of dollars for a 2-hour duration, so.
I was reading in here and it says after the abatement is over, that it will contribute roughly $750,000 to our tax base. So, that's per year. So just so everybody knows, I mean, that's pretty substantial.
So it depends on whether me and Jimmy have our curling irons on.
Yes.
And I would say the one thing that's not contemplated in the additional revenue that you're looking at once it really becomes operational and the abatement falls off is that obviously they're gonna have to install new investment,
Yes,
right? So those batteries are gonna come out, they're gonna have to replace them, and those are gonna go back on your tax records. So.
With the increased value.
Yes, no, I appreciate you explaining that. And I just wanted everybody to understand that once this is over, I mean, $750,000 a year, that's pretty substantial to the county as far as revenue.
All right, entertain a motion to accept the application. So moved.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Combs. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. 5.6, discuss, consider amended Clay Partner Cedar Fort Phase 3, number 1 LP and Clay Partner Cedar Fort Phase 2. Phase 3, number 2 LP tax abatement agreement. Thank you folks for being here this
Thank
morning.
y'all.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
5.6.
Very good. Clay, okay. Back in 2020, Clay Partners back in 2019, Clay Partners entered into tax abatement agreement with the county for Clay Partners Cedar Fort Phase 3, number 1, and Phase 3, number 2. In October, the court approved an amendment to the agreement requested by Clay so as to facilitate a sale. The partial assignment or amendment required an amendment. And the assignment split the agreement that was initially contemplated to accommodate 2 buildings, 1 and 2, as noted in the title. So the idea at the time was to split the abatement agreement so that one agreement could remain in place in favor of Clay Partners to move forward with project Phase 2, whenever the timing was correct. The assignment required an amendment of the agreement. So in order to assign the agreement to Exeter, the agreement had to be amended. And so that was done. As it stands right now, they began construction of the new building, or number 2, in 2022, and they're requesting that the abatement be reinstated for that building. However, just because of communications or assumptions during the intervening time period, they did not notify the county of their intent to go vertical with the building number 2. So what's being requested right now is consideration to actually reinstate the abatement that was originally contemplated, and to that's, I guess, a 2-step process to essentially do 2 options: either amend the amendment to facilitate that, and then allow for an assignment. That they're negotiating with a prospect. MSI is the entity. I think in your packet you have an overview of their project. The company is contemplating the acquisition of the building as a distribution center. MSI is a privately owned importer and manufacturer of countertops and the like, and they would be locating in the park, as noted in the economics of the project, the last page of the exhibit. The investment would be the acquisition of the building, some tenant improvements, and some additional job creation, 40 to 45 jobs. They are requesting a 5-year tax abatement, as noted in their request letter. However, the court's consideration, 2 things: that the court would allow for reinstatement of the abatement, given that the reinvestment zone was never compromised, right? So the reinvestment zone is there. There was a nominal value at the start of the year, and use 2023 as the first year of an abatement. 2 things to consider: if in fact the buildings were going to be built in parallel as it was originally contemplated, 2023 would be the 4th year of that abatement if the building was built at that time. If in fact the court decides to allow for the reinstatement of the abatement, which would require an amendment to the amendment, so as to provide, so as to provide the sort of administrative trail, both for the appraisal district and for the comptroller's office, to amend the amendment to reflect an abatement for the remaining 2 years, if in fact the building was complete. That would be for 2023 and 2024 at the percentages consistent with building number 1. And then to accommodate the request and facilitate the sale and acquisition and the location of MSI to come in, add an additional 3 years at 50%. So that's up for the court's consideration today. Dee Sullivan is here with Clay to talk about the market conditions and allowances that provided for moving forward with continued development. Just as a matter of record, Clay has developed the projects that ultimately resulted in the location of the IKEA projects over in the Cedar Fort Industrial Park, and then Exeter, which was the assignment of building 1, which now is going to be phase 1 of the NFI project, who are going to be occupying that building, and then building a new building as Houston Transloading Partners, for which the county entered into a tax abatement to accommodate the target distribution facility. So we've got Dee here who can make some comments, and I'll be able to answer any questions that can come up with this sort of very complicated, if you will, overview, so as to provide the court with a sort of clearance and clarity as to how the next steps will be taken.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning. My name is Dee Sullivan. I'm a partner of Clay Development, and
Morning, Dave.
we, we planned to develop two buildings in 18, 19, 20, and second building got messed up because of market, COVID, other things. And we started early this year. And we split this abatement out, and BJ and I handled it. And probably my fault, I didn't follow up. I thought it was done, and we split it and reinstated it or sold the old building off. I thought it was still in place for the new building. I just followed up with BJ a few months ago to ask him about the MSI project. He told me it had never been reinstated because I didn't follow up. So that's on me. We do have a prospect to buy the building, and they want us to do quite a bit of build out for them. And they want to close, early next year, January probably. So BJ's working on getting that abatement with y'all, but I'm here just to ask you to reconsider reinstating the abatement on our second building.
Have questions? Mr. Sullivan?
And I'm just thinking,
Yeah,
what year did we reinstate or do the amendment? Was it that
Big guy.
2021?
Yes, Commissioners, in your exhibit for this, the amendment to the first agreement is it shows that the amendment was executed on the 8th day of December 20.
And I thought we started the clock over at the time we did that amendment. For the second building.
That would be the consideration as it stands right there, that the idea, Clay's interpretation was that everything was going to be separate, if you will, or maintained. The intent, if ideally, they would have notified the court that they intended to use the remainder of the reinvestment zone to go with building 2. And that's where the communication drop was. And so that the ask right now is to consider reinstating the abatement as it was originally contemplated. But that would require an amendment to the amendment to include it.
I mean,
I'm just trying to remember. I do remember us doing the amendment and splitting the buildings up.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I was thinking that for building number 2, we started the clock, the 5-year clock at the time we did that amendment, but obviously we did not.
No, there was no construction or anything as it stands right now. And again, if in fact that the clock, to your point, if that's the case, again, asking the court to consider that the buildings were built in parallel, it would be in the 4th year. 2023 would be the 4th year of that abatement.
Yeah.
And so using that as a model, 2023 and 2024 would be the remaining years of abatement per the schedule that was originally assigned in the original agreement. Using the previous models or schedules that the county routinely entered into, 100% for the first 2 years, 75% for year 3, 6% year 4, and then 50% year 5. So at minimum, the request would be, if in fact the building was going to be there, that it would be available or would qualify for abatement for the schedules and percentages for years 4 and 5. That would be 60 and 50%. The question is the court, for your consideration, if given the fact that they're trying to attract this tenant, and the ask from the tenant is for a 5-year abatement, to make the consideration that the 2 remaining years of the schedule, if the building had been built as it was originally contemplated, apply for years 1 and 2, and then an additional 3 years at 50%.
So it's not done under 381.
No, this is 312. It could be done under 381 if the court decides to do that. The trail, if in fact the idea to amend an amendment, which is typically done, we can give some examples of that, but a development agreement that would accommodate the sale and transition and attraction of the new tenant would be allowed for, given that there's a reinvestment zone that is already established. That could be a way to pursue that.
is our minimum threshold on the inventory figured in? I didn't see it.
That's what I was getting ready.
Yeah, we didn't provide those models for the court to consider. And I have
disagreement when we negotiated it the first time.
no, the court was not doing it at the time. Yeah.
No, it was after.
If we're amending and we're applicable to doing the abatement form like it was, I mean, would they be applicable to the minimum?
Well, we're gonna amend it, but we can amend that part of it.
That's
We're
what
gonna
I'm,
amend the other
if we're
part.
gonna amend it, I mean, I would be, we're open to amendment threshold on that.
Yeah, and I didn't have the model with me today, but
I didn't see it.
they've
So what are you
contemplated
asking us for today?
to to meet the request to reinstate and allow for an abatement for the, as originally contemplated, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Judge, I believe they've started construction, they went vertical.
Yes.
But we had not, I guess since they went vertical, they're still under the old timeline.
It's in,
So
yes,
basically asked is, since we just now went vertical,
Right.
let's extend some time on it.
you would, yes, you would complete two options, to simply complete, allow for the additional remaining 2 years on the original abatement. That would be 2023 and 2024. And leave it at that. Or add an additional 3 years to complement the attraction of the new tenant.
Or convert to 3 to 1.
Yes, to do the same thing. The estimate by MSI is that their annual inventory turns are going to be at least 3. In January 1 of each, they've stipulated approximately 10.5 million.
That's what I wouldn't have a problem with extending it to 3 years if they would agree to the minimum on inventory.
Yeah, it's approximately $47,000 a year of revenue to the court.
Right off the bat.
So the first year would be 60 and then 50 the next 4 years?
You know,
Or we're going back to 100?
No, it would be 60, 50, 50, 50, 50.
Okay, yeah, because this one right now currently would be at 77%
That's correct.
effective.
Right.
So this would reduce it down to about 52, 53%. I'd be okay with that. If we have some inventory.
But how you want the motion, made, Judge? I mean, if we're gonna have to amend the amendment, then amend the amendment.
Yeah. So I'm gonna amend the amendment.
And assign at sale as it stands right now to amend the amendment as presented, right?
Which is what he, Tommy just stated.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, a motion to amend the amendment as stated.
Well, I mean, would it be as stated, Judge?
Well-
If we're doing the inventory time, it would be different.
You gotta, BJ's gonna bring it back for us. to approve.
Absolutely. It's
Okay,
going, yeah. we're
we'll
gonna
just
have
make
to
the
go back
motion to do it.
to-
He's gotta bring it back formally, through amended.
That'll be my
Amendment,
motion, then, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Gore.
Not purposely to be confusing, but.
Right, I need to get a second.
I thought I heard Ty second. No, okay, I'll do it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Combs. Now go ahead, BJ.
No, yeah, this is not, we're not purposely being, complicated here, it's just the nature of the administrative requirements by statute, provide, allow for us to do this. And just the nature of things that occurred during shutdown and but again, Clay's been very productive in bringing, complementary development to the county, and so we just want to be able to accommodate that.
Thank you, Clay.
So I have one question for you, BJ. What does BJ stand for?
BJ, my first name's Berwick, John Simon.
Berwick John.
Berwick John.
John.
Okay, Berwick. I knew that, didn't I? Lauren said it got on our phone.
No, it's 60, 50, 50, 50, 50.
Yeah, I've been.
Thank you, Berwick. All right, those in favor?
Very much.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Thank you, BJ.
Thank y'all.
All right, back to the top, unless somebody.
Lord. Huh?
1.2, discuss and consider appointing Claudia Sandoval to the HGAC Houston Galveston Area Council Natural Resources Board for the 2-year term.
I'll make that motion. She's great.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Someone thank Bud Wilcox. Served on that for Chambers County for many, many years. Those in favor? Those, motion carries. 2.1, discuss and consider request from Barbara ISD. Permanent school fund withdrawal amount of $460,365.77. Nikki. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
On behalf of the committee, we recommend approval.
So seconded.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any questions? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Mr. Rowley. 3.1.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Discuss and consider entering into an agreement with Meritage Homes of Texas LLC. Commence construction of a model home prior to recording the plat for Heights of Baytown. Section 1, this is Brad, you want to take this? Is that correct, Brad?
Yeah, that's correct.
Good morning.
sister-in-law, how you doing? So Meritage Homes, they are requesting that we permit their model home prior to, just like you said in the thing, where ordinarily we would have all their infrastructure put in place, the plat recorded. However, this is what they're asking to be treated as a commercial building, not for residential use until they're done with the entire subdivision, which is, that's all the homes gotta be sold.
So do they have a permit for a commercial building?
They don't, that's the request.
Yeah, that's the agreement that's got, what they're trying to do, they're trying to get that building, their what am I trying to say? Their model home started, yeah, they need to get construction for it. And at our next court, they're planning on coming in and they're going to actually submit, the plat is in this agenda, under the consent agenda. So then next court, they're planning on coming in and posting the bond and bonding for the roads, is my understanding.
That's not, no, that's not my understanding that and they may do that, but what we do, we were asking as far as the consent item, we are asking that it be accepted.
But not recorded.
Not be recorded until, again, we got. our
That is
maintenance-
correct, because they're going to come back and bond it. They have to bond it
All right,
first.
yes.
No, that
And
is
all
correct.
all the associated appropriate fees have got to be paid before we go to recordation.
Right.
However, they're requesting that this model home be permitted as commercial prior to that.
Right, because they've got, 4 weeks or so to build the thing,
Yeah,
actually more than that.
they're just trying to get out in front of it. And we do understand that. It's rare that we would, this doesn't happen very often.
Right.
That these kind of requests. take
So
place.
are you okay with, is engineering okay?
We are, yes, sir.
Yeah, I've talked with everybody over about it, so I'll make a motion, we approve it.
You good with the Billy?
Yeah.
Second. First by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Any other
Question,
questions?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Have we had difficulty with them following the guidelines? I've heard there's been a little bit of difficulty.
I mean, there's always with these developers, I mean, it's nothing that we
They
don't know.
had some inspections that they had to go back that fell on the roads, yeah, and there was been some confusion because of they're in the ETJ of Baytown, and Baytown's giving them different directions than the county, and they went to Baytown and not.
For some reason, Baytown required a bond
Yes.
and that they,
In their ETJ?
yes, and
Because they're in a mud, and the Baytown had to approve that. I don't even know, they may be in limited purpose annexation.
that's not that's not the
It's
LPA.
not,
No. It's their.
But no, there has been some confusion between Baytown and Chambers County on that project. Originally, they didn't even come to the county. Originally, they just went to Baytown
Mhm.
to begin
And
with.
again, I don't know why, I don't know why Baytown asked them for a bond. Baytown's not gonna provide any services with the roads at all. Now, they may be something with landscaping, but
I think it's got to do with utilities. They did the same thing on Legends Bay. They required Legends Bay to post a
Okay.
bond
all
also.
right, well, that's between them and Baytown. It doesn't really affect us, but anyway, that is our, excuse me, our recommendation that we allow that, the commercial portion of it.
They won't receive a occupancy permit
No.
until they meet all these other guidelines.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
No, we don't give occupancy permits, but we won't allow power to be turned on until it's there.
The fire marshal, because again, it's not residential use. The fire marshal, it's not, maybe not occupancy, but it's, I don't know what the acronym, is that what it is? Okay.
Yes,
For
sir.
their shells that, it would be akin to that, for this structure. Again, no one's gonna be living in this. This is just for them to get it out and built and out in front of their subdivision
But is a commercial permit?
as a commercial permit.
Right, I got a motion second. Any other questions?
Aye.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3.2, discuss, consider approving memorandum of understanding between Chambers County and Chambers County District Terminal LP for funding through a donation from CCLT for a westbound turn lane to be constructed in parallel with the boulevard expansion of Kilgore Parkway and to delineate CCLT's future use of Kilgore Parkway in order to ensure traffic safety in the areas along Kilgore Parkway. And a long item. Billy, that's your-
Yeah, you can tell Nathan wrote that.
Ah, no wonder.
Oh.
All right, who's taking it?
I'll take it. This is
Yeah,
a,
I'm not familiar with this item.
no
Yeah.
problem. Thank you.
Go Strokes.
Yeah, this is a
you go.
memorandum of understanding that we negotiated with KTN. God, back last February, I believe, started working on January and February. And it had to do with, we had required them to put in a acceleration lane in order to tie into Kilgore Parkway. And during the time we were working on that, we were also negotiating with them to utilize Highway 99 for their trucks, and it all worked together. Meanwhile, we started building Kilgore Parkway and figured it would have been easier just for them to pay us. And we do that as a part of our construction. We negotiated the MOU. We actually discussed it in this court, and I would have sworn that we had already approved this thing. Nathan, like me, he thought we had approved it, but we cannot find any record where we did approve it.
So you're making a motion.
I'm making the motion now that we approve it.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Any questions? Those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed, motion carries. We're gonna take a quick break.
Thank you, all right.
8
as long as we're aware.
Hi, Chambers County Court, Chambers County Commissioner Court come to order. 10:54 a.m. after break. And we are going to 5:23. Discuss, consider authorizing the Department of Economic Development to continue providing Meals on Wheels to indigent senior citizens for 1 month. Bam.
All right, I'm back again. Hi. So couple updates. Main thing I need for you guys to do is give me a little more time. Unfortunately, I found out this morning that the church that we had talked to and we were pretty hopeful about is not going to be able to take it on. They said that the pastor's wife, I think, had spoken to you, or maybe they didn't.
No, they did not.
Okay, so I spoke with Miss Candy this morning. I sent her a quick text message and said, hey, I've got Commissioner's Court. Just wanted to make sure you confirmed with your pastor that you guys are ready to go. And she said, unfortunately, we are not going to be able to take it on at this time. So the Ministerial Alliance here in town also talked about it. But unfortunately, they're not able to take it on either. So I need more time. Basically is what I'm asking for. My item asked for a month. What I would like to ask you to do is actually give me through the end of the year. That way I'm not here every 2 weeks talking about this with you guys. And give us a little time to continue looking. If that's the court's wish, we're happy to do that. Thank you.
All right.
You're just tired of hearing about it.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Ties, extended through the end of the year. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes, yes, sir.
And Mark?
Yeah, that's
All right, questions?
We'll keep looking.
Disheartening.
It's very disheartening, but I'm actually, if you're done with me, I'm going to Pasadena to pick up meals now.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the consent, Judge, can
Yeah, let me go and vote on this. Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. What number, Billy?
on consent, I think, it's gonna be number 19-9.
All right, let's go to consent 19-9, accepting the record by monthly project update provided by Department of Economic Development Grant Management.
Yeah, it's got to do with the landfill sale. I'd heard there's been some back and forth on that, and I just wanted to get an update and get the court get an update on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in some internal conversations that we have had, Commissioner Hammond, myself, Debbie, kind of the Chambers County team, it became apparent that there may be an alternative site that we could use that may potentially save us money. And by alternative site, I mean, there's a borrow pit that's been dug. It's a little deeper than the design calls for, but it's halfway excavated. And so we want to evaluate if that's an opportunity for us to not have to invest so much in construction. Looking at the layout of it, I feel, and I believe Commissioner Hammond feels, that that is actually a more logical site than what has been proposed for this project. However, we are just in the process of investigating that to determine what the best thing to do for the county would be. We do have a meeting tomorrow with the engineer of record on this, as well as the landfill team. And the landfill team also feels like we should investigate this opportunity as well.
I guarantee you should look at that. So where are you meeting?
We're going to meet out at the office. It's so the proposed site is right behind their office, disconnected from the existing cells. The pit is right across the street from the existing cells.
Which seems illogical.
Correct. So we have some questions and we want to evaluate that. You want to talk?
Yeah.
I'm trying to tow around some things here.
I went back and talked to Debbie again yesterday, just get some more, try to get a little more information. So there's like 6 books that this whole permit is contained in. There's a grid in there that doesn't line up with anything that we have. So there's just, I got a ton of questions that we're gonna have to get cleared up and try to go back and get some kind of plan to where we know where the next, however many cells there's gonna be, that we know exactly where they're gonna go and that we operate to that mode. So
project a forecast.
yeah, we can't just
Do a plan.
We went out there and to me, looking at the whole deal, it looks like we just went out there and picked a random spot to put a cell at. So anyway, we're just to go back and get some clarity on all that.
And the other thing is where the proposed cell is also the location of the tower that needs to be constructed out there. So that's kind of a conflict as well. I do want, if we do say that, okay, this is a more logical location, it's going to save us money, it's going to be the better option, we're going to have to go through the environmental process again, which will take at least 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Yes. However, when I spoke to Debbie, and she may have found out more information because I talked to her about a week ago, we don't actually know how much time we have left in this existing cell. We don't know if it's as severe as we were initially told or not.
Well, I don't think it is as severe. As
Right.
Initial, but
Yeah, I mean, it's severe and we need to move forward. I'm not saying that. I just think that we still, and that's one of the questions we have to determine tomorrow is what is the actual true timeline of.
More clarity.
Correct. Yes, correct. So Mike, did you have something to say? I see you have a microphone. Oh, you're just holding it for.
I'm actually surprised that we didn't already have that site laid out, know exactly what, like Commissioner Hammond was saying, a site plan and know how we're gonna work it.
I mean, out for 20 or 50 years.
Yeah, so there's a grid in that whole package, but it doesn't make any sense. Looking at the grid and looking at our plat, it just, none of that meshes.
Okay, so will you report back to the court on this issue?
Yes, sir. After our meeting tomorrow, we should have a clear path forward, I would hope.
You're paying for this out of ARPA funds?
We're paying for the construction out of ARPA funds. The engineer that is on this project is not paid for out of ARPA funds. He was procured in 2008. So he's been on the job for a long time with Eddie.
So this does not mess with any timelines on.
Not on ARPA, no. And the construction time for this is we have the design of it. We have the contractor on board that's going to build it. That contractor would just transfer over even if we do move it. But my understanding is depending on whether 6 to 9 months to build, we just have to have our funds spent by 2026, December 2026. So permitting will take a little bit of time, but I don't think that we're going to run into, I can't see it taking 3 years to get a permit, but
No, I don't.
That needs to be figured in there.
right. And that's something that we have to figure out tomorrow. We have to ask a lot of questions
Yeah, that's
tomorrow.
part of that environmental process for permitting.
Mhm.
But one answer we have not been able to get is how much space we have left in the current cell. So we haven't been able to get that answer. So hopefully we get that answer tomorrow. And
Okay.
that'll factor into our decision making.
Sounds good.
Okay.
What I needed to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I will send y'all an email tomorrow after our meeting, just recapping everything.
Thank you, Sam. Separately, correct.
Yes, separately.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, I believe we're going down to the second page. The verbiage left. Maintenance and buildings, 7.1, discuss, consider approving HKR Ranches to construct the RV space for Spindletop Center mobile clinic amount 39,910.89. Mike.
So we got quotes, HKR came in low, 39,910. The last court I came and you gave me up to $50,000. So we're in pretty good shape. I'm not saying there's not going to be a few things that are gonna, once we bring all these services out of the ground, we might have to, it might be $1,000 or so here or there that we might have to be over and above this. But right now, this is a pretty good price. So I would recommend it.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Tice. Questions? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 7.2, discuss and consider additional 3,000 for gravel needed for egress and ingress on the right of way donated for introduced electrical easement, Cook Road baseball fields. Right.
So I came to the court.
Didn't we rename it?
Mr. Delk and I agreed on $10,000 originally. He went and actually got pricing. And the 10,000 would get him the gravel. The 3,000 is to spread the gravel, and he wants us to pay that. I brought up the fact that he was getting three-phase power on his property was a big deal for that property, but he still won't release the easement to Entergy unless it's the 13,000, not the 10.
Remind us what it's gonna cost if we don't do this.
I would have to take three-phase, I would have to take down the single phase all the way down Cook Road and put up three-phase. And then you have all those houses and everything else. It'd be a freaking nightmare.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Tice. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. I think we're down to consent. Precinct 4,
I already asked my question.
3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna say I'm good.
Mr. Gore.
Oh, I'm good, Judge.
Oh, I know you're good.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Tice.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. To approve the consent agenda. Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
We're at 17.
7-2.
What's your question about 17?
Who had it?
Gore Tice.
7-2, Gore Tice. All right, it's 11:06 a.m. We're going to executive session. 10.1, discuss and consider personnel issues. We don't have any real property. 20.3, discuss, consider, now, no extensions, just personnel issues. So we will recess at this time, executive session.
Any
All right, welcome to order after. Where we go, executive session at 12:08 PM. We have one motion on FMLA request. And I'll understand motion.
Make a motion, Judge, that we extend the FLMA.
FMLA.
FMLA. Yeah.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. For the record, we don't use the name for FMLA request. Do we? With that. Go ahead. What's your? At 12:08.
I saw you looking up. I was gonna tell,